Have you ever considered that time itself, the very time we are accustomed to measuring and obeying, is in fact a grand illusion? And what if this seemingly relentless march of seconds, folding into minutes and years, is not a straight path to eternity, but rather a magnificent, intricately woven tapestry? A tapestry where every knot, every shade, and every single thread was woven into the pattern by an unseen will, long before any of us were born. What if all those events we desperately try to explain away as chaos and chance, the devastating political storms, the gaping financial abysses, the deep social divides, are actually just the muffled rumbles of thunder, omens, heralding the arrival of one single person, someone whose coming was foretold in prophecies hundreds of years ago? What I am about to share with you is not another idle theory. It is a key that unlocks the door to our immediate future. And be warned, this key has the power to shatter your perception of the world forever, forcing you to question every truth you once held to be as solid as granite. But before we draw back the curtain on this blood-chilling mystery, before I reveal the very sign that will announce to the world the arrival of either a savior or the destroyer of all of Europe, I ask you to take a deep breath. Feel the vibration of this very moment. If, in this exact second, you feel that you are standing on the threshold of something truly monumental, that itself is a sign. For in the events to come, not a single signal can be missed. If a thirst for genuine mysteries lives within you, if your mind yearns to peer beyond the boundary where others halt, then you understand that there are truths that are typically passed over in silence. And now, let us take a step together into the abyss. Our focus today is one of the most chilling and, perhaps, deliberately forgotten prophecies of the great Bulgarian seer, Vanga, a prophecy all but erased from the pages of history. Amid the deafening chorus of her fulfilled predictions, the tragedy of the Kursk, the fall of the Twin Towers, and the menacing iron birds in the sky, a quiet whisper was almost drowned out. A single phrase, one vague yet haunting image, that for decades has troubled the minds of the most dedicated researchers of her legacy. It is said that only behind closed doors, among the tightest circle of those she trusted, did the visionary share this vision. She spoke of a time when an old, tired, and ailing Europe would fall to its knees, a time when its body would be torn apart by internal conflicts, and its borders besieged by external threats. She foretold of a hunger, not one that torments the stomach, but a hunger that hollows out the soul. She spoke of a cold, not the icy breath of winter, but a chill that would settle in human hearts, freezing all compassion and faith. And it is then, in history's darkest hour, at the very depths of despair, when the final spark of hope seems ready to fade, he will emerge, a new leader. He will not rise to power through conventional means, not by the roar of revolution, nor the quiet whisper of the ballot box. He will appear to the world suddenly, as if from thin air, and his authority will not be built upon the articles of law or the might of countless armies. The source of his strength will lie in something else entirely, a phenomenon that is almost supernatural. The cryptic words of a prophecy attributed to Vanga come to mind. She spoke of a time when heaven itself would cast its hammer down upon the earth, and in that moment, the one who could forge the nations as one would arrive. He will accomplish this not with fire and sword, but purely through the power of his words and an indomitable will. Look for him under this sign, the prophecy foretold, in the year when 2 2s and a 6 converge, the year 2026, and the enigmatic sign of the celestial hammer. What is it exactly? What lies behind this symbol, at once terrifyingly apocalyptic and yet unbelievably creative? For decades, it was dismissed as allegory, as nothing more than an empty metaphor. But we, the Veilbreaker team, dared to dig deeper. We began connecting the scattered points across the map of history, the very points others chose to ignore, from which they turned away in fear. And what we discovered truly makes the blood run cold. It turns out, the great Vanga was far from alone in her terrifying vision. Her prophecies were merely a single, though vivid piece in a colossal, world-spanning mosaic of predictions. A mosaic whose pieces, as if guided by some unseen hand, all point to the very same fateful moment in time, and to the very same ominous celestial landmark. Let us turn to Nostradamus. In one of his most obscure and controversial quatrains, we find these words: "From the north, a great leader will emerge, not of royal blood, when a comet with a fiery tail shows the way. He will bring peace to a fractured land, but his peace will be like the stillness after a storm." A comet with a fiery tail. Remember those words. The celestial hammer, a name soaring through the void of space. And now, are you beginning to see the connection? From deep within Europe's leading observatories, under a cloak of strictest anonymity, disturbing rumors are leaking out. Scientists whose names we cannot reveal speak in whispers of a recent discovery. The object's inexorable course leads it straight to us. Calculations show it will enter our skies in the year 2026. Experts assert that its form and chemical makeup are without precedent. This is something entirely alien, bearing no resemblance to any of the thousands of comets or asteroids known to science. On an official level, there is a deafening silence. The authorities fear sowing panic among the population. But behind the closed doors of laboratories and conference halls, within the quiet confines of the scientific world, a frantic commotion is underway. They do not merely suspect, they know. The telescopes do not lie, and the sight they reveal is enough to chill the blood. However, this is merely the tip of the iceberg. To understand what approaches us from the stellar abyss, we must first look to the past. Let us journey far to the east, to the mysterious Japan of the 17th century. Far from the turmoil of the world, in the solitude of the mountains, dwelt an ascetic monk, Kodo Yamashita, a man known to almost no one. His name was spoken only in whispers, yet among the initiated, he was renowned for his profound meditative insights. Within his decaying scrolls, miraculously preserved in the hidden repository of a secluded monastery in ancient Kyoto, amidst the scent of incense and ancient dust, a passage was discovered, which read, "In an age of great confusion, when the West becomes mired in false lights and empty words, a star with a tail of iron shall fall from the heavens, and in its wake, a foreigner with the will of a dragon will come. He will gather the shards of a broken mirror and from them forge a new sun. A star with a tail of iron." Consider this. The same striking image appears once more. The same celestial messenger heralding a great change. Now, let us travel thousands of kilometers to the west, to the twilight chill of medieval Europe. There, within the walls of the majestic Mont Saint-Michel monastery, its shores washed by cold waves, a nameless scribe bent over an interpretation of the apocalypse. By the flickering light of a candle, he inscribed a few enigmatic lines in the margins of an ancient manuscript. "A king shall come, wearing no crown, and his scepter shall be thought itself. He will unite what has been divided, not by force of arms, but by the power of the Spirit. At a time when the northern stars align to form a spear, aimed at the very heart of the old world. A spear forged from stars, a star with a tail of iron. It is remarkable. In both accounts, we hear of a celestial weapon, one that signals the unavoidable end of one age and the dawn of another entirely. And modern astronomers confirm this. In the year 2026, the heavens will grant us an exceptionally rare spectacle, a grand alignment of the planets. Viewed from Earth, this cosmic procession will appear as a colossal spearhead, aimed directly at the heart of the North Star. Coincidence? Hardly. Far too much suggests that this is a sign. Even the most ancient Vedic texts, as the sages from the sacred city of Varanasi assure us, speak of the completion of one of the great cycles of the Kali Yuga, an end prophesied to arrive in the very middle of our own decade. They speak of the coming of the Chakravartin, a universal ruler whose birth or ascent to power will be marked by a great fire in the heavens, a fire destined to cleanse the earth. And they are not alone. The prophetess Vanga, the mysterious Nostradamus, an unnamed Japanese monk, a modest French scribe, all of them, though separated by time and distance, spoke of the very same thing. Their gazes pierced the veil of centuries, their visions fixed upon one single event, an event on whose very threshold we now stand. Now, simply look around you and open your eyes. Truly open them. Can you not see how the world itself is meticulously setting the stage for this grand, final act? Ancient prophecies do not come to pass in a vacuum. Like seeds, they sprout from the very soil of our reality. Look no further than the political map of old Europe. It is riddled with deep fissures that only grow wider with each passing day. Alliances that stood for ages, once thought unbreakable, are crumbling to dust. Leaders are rapidly losing what little trust remains, and the souls of nations are seized by a clinging anxiety and a seething rage. The very air is poisoned by the venom of populism. Seeds of discord are sown everywhere, and the atmosphere rings with endless mutual accusations. Could this be the very image of a sick Europe, brought to its knees, just as the prophecies once foretold? This is the ideal fertile ground for someone to appear, someone with fire in their eyes, offering a completely new, radical path out of this lingering chaos. Listen closely. Have you not noticed how often, how persistently, we now hear that alarming whisper about a global leadership crisis? What you are witnessing is more than just another screaming headline in the news. It is a gaping void, a power vacuum that, by the immutable laws of our world, cannot remain empty for long. Consider the economy. That same inflation officials mention only in hushed tones, but whose icy chill every one of us feels when we open our wallets. An energy crisis looms over the entire continent, like the sword of Damocles, threatening to sever the final, fragile thread of stability. Everywhere, shattered supply chains have exposed the terrifying fragility of a global system that is now cracking at the seams, threatening to collapse at any moment. And make no mistake, this is not merely another economic cycle. We are witnessing the death throes of a materialistic paradigm that has outlived its time. This is the agonizing collapse of an old foundation, and from its ruins, amidst the dust and chaos, something entirely new is destined to be born. And what of nature? Can we not hear its screams? Its voice echoes in the unprecedented droughts that parch the land until it cracks, only to be followed by furious, catastrophic floods. Its pain is felt in the wildfires that consume entire regions in a wall of flame, leaving nothing but a scorched, dead landscape in their wake. Its fever rages in the anomalous temperatures that have shifted from rare exceptions to a terrifying new normal. The very earth shudders, as if in agony, trying to cast off this old, sick energy. These are all signs, ominous signs that only the blind would not see, and only the deaf would not hear. But you and I, we are neither blind nor deaf. You've felt it too, haven't you? That inexplicable gnawing feeling in the pit of your stomach, the sense that something is inevitably approaching. That thick, ringing tension in the very air, like the dead calm just before a devastating thunderstorm. Perhaps you too have encountered the inexplicable signs sent by fate. Or maybe you've awakened in the middle of the night from a prophetic dream, one so real it left you trembling. Or perhaps you've been struck by a sudden clear vision of what the future holds. If any of this sounds familiar, know that you are not alone. There are thousands of us, perhaps even millions across the globe. And this brings us to the very heart of our discussion, to what fundamentally separates our vision from the conventional, panicked predictions of the world's end. When most people hear phrases like the hammer of heaven or the collapse of the old world, their minds immediately conjure images of fire and despair. They envision a literal, physical war, the agony of starvation, and cities reduced to rubble. An image forms in their minds of a cruel tyrant, a dictator whose iron will would enslave the nations. But all of this is merely a perspective limited by the familiar three dimensions. It is a simplistic, flattened perception of a reality that is far more multifaceted and complex. The prophets were not foretelling external cataclysms so much as something far more profound. They spoke of an inner transformation, a colossal, tectonic shift in the very foundations of human consciousness. Let us view these ancient words from another perspective. What if the foretold collapse of Europe is not the fall of nations and the crumbling of borders, but the shattering of the self-centered consumerist mindset that has served as the foundation of Western civilization for centuries? What if the hunger is not a physical lack of food, but an agonizing thirst for meaning, for spirituality, and for a true, vibrant connection with one another? And what if the cold is not a biting frost in the streets, but the icy alienation that chills us to the bone as we stare into the soulless glow of our smartphone screens, into those very metallic veins that have ensnared the planet, supplanting the warmth of genuine human contact? In this light, the figure of a new leader takes on an entirely different significance. This is likely not just another politician speaking from a podium, offering a new agenda. Perhaps it is not one person at all. It may be the idea itself, an idea capable of setting millions of hearts ablaze. It will all begin with one single thought. It will resonate like a new, pure frequency of vibration, echoing profoundly within millions of awakening hearts. A person will emerge, perhaps even a group, who can finally give voice to what so many have been vaguely sensing, something that hangs, palpable, in the very air. The old system is dead. It has long been dead, propped up only by the crumbling pillars of deceit, the sticky mire of fear, and the blind force of inertia. All of its supposed power is nothing more than a crown made of the finest glass. It glitters in the sun, yet it is impossibly fragile, ready to shatter into 1,000 pieces from a single, truly spoken word, from one genuinely courageous thought. And this thought, this word, will become the celestial hammer. In this new understanding, however, it is not an asteroid bringing physical death to the planet. It will be a blinding cosmic impulse, a powerful energetic discharge that will strike not our cities, but the collective unconscious of all humankind. Its impact will not destroy our homes of stone and concrete. It will demolish our mental prisons, razing them to their very foundations. It will pulverize the petrified dogmas, the obsolete stereotypes, and all the false beliefs that have held us captive for centuries. And yes, this will be painful, unbearably painful. Breaking the old habits etched into your very soul, renouncing the comfort of a warming lie. This is always an agony. And this is the very storm prophesied by Nostradamus. the storm that will inevitably be followed by silence, a profound quiet of the mind, finally free from inner chaos and clinging fear. The coming collapse is not the end of the world. It is a sacred dissolution, the greatest test prepared for all of humankind. To understand this, imagine a caterpillar preparing to become a butterfly. For the caterpillar itself, this process is a living hell. Its former body, everything it once was, literally dissolves, reduced to a nourishing soup within the dark prison of its cocoon. It is the complete, unconditional collapse of its very essence, of its small, understandable world. Only by passing through this total annihilation can a new, marvelous creature be born, one destined to fly. And right now, all of us find ourselves inside that very same cocoon. The familiar world around us is slowly melting, falling to pieces, and this spectacle, of course, instills fear and confusion. But as unsettling as this process may be, it is an inevitable and necessary part of a great transformation. This is precisely why the coming leader, marked by the sign of the celestial hammer, will not arrive as a conqueror with fire and sword. Their role is entirely different. They will be a midwife to a world being born. This leader, be it he or she, will not use force, but will simply and gently help the new, still fragile world emerge into the light. Their word and will, which the prophetess Vanga once spoke of, is not a collection of strict commands and unforgiving laws. Imagine instead the delicate, pure sound of a tuning fork, resonating in the hearts of millions and tuning their very souls to a single, previously unknown frequency. It will be a frequency of profound compassion, of true unity, and of clear, awakened consciousness. And then, the future unification of Europe will not be forged on the fields of political battle, but in stillness and in light. It will become a spiritual union. A time is coming for a union bound not by the seals in a passport, but by the flame within human hearts. And so today, standing at this great crossroads, each of you must ask yourselves the most vital, the most honest of questions. In the crucible of this grand transformation, in the very heart of this sacred and cleansing collapse, who are you? Will you remain a part of the world that is passing away, desperately clinging to the cold fragments of a system collapsing before your very eyes? Will you allow the icy fear, which slithers into the soul like a serpent from official sources, to paralyze your will? Will you become one of the sleepers, a passive observer, to be washed away into oblivion like a grain of sand by the relentless wave of change to come? Or will you dare to choose a different path? The path of light, the path of awakening, the path of crystal clear awareness. You can become one who does not fear this chaos, for you see beyond it not an ending, but the herald of a great rebirth. One who knows that from the ashes of the old world, the dawn of a new one will inevitably rise. You can become one who consciously attunes their soul to higher frequencies, who finds inner strength in the silence of meditation, who tirelessly seeks grains of truth in an ocean of deceit and extends a hand to others, helping them to awaken as well. Imagine yourselves as the living cells of a new organism, one being born through great struggle. And it is your choice, and yours alone, that holds the truly decisive power here. Each time you choose the warmth of love over chilling fear, healing unity over destructive division, and clear awareness over gray apathy, you are bringing the birth of a new, better world closer with your own hands. You are not merely passive observers, waiting for some leader to arrive. No, you are meticulously preparing the fertile ground for its arrival. You yourselves become brilliant beacons, your light piercing through the gathering darkness, drawing to you those who are just as desperately seeking the path. You are the rightful co-creators of the coming age. Contemplate this deeply. Your personal inner transformation is the very precious key that unlocks the gates to a universal, global transfiguration. Our entire world stands poised on the threshold of the greatest shift in its long history. The sign of the celestial hammer has already manifested in the heavens, yet it can only be discerned by those whose eyes are truly open. The year 2026 approaches inexorably, and at this crossroads, each of you has a choice. If these words resonate in the depths of your soul, if a tremor of recognition runs through you as you realize that all that is happening is not a chaos of chance, but part of a grand design, then do not remain silent. Your voice has meaning. Every response you give is pure energy. Your mark of approval is not a soulless click, but a flash of light in the darkness, a beacon for other seekers. To align with this cause is your firm declaration of which side you stand on in the unseen battle for the future of humanity. Let your action become a digital tocsin, a signal of awakening for those still sleeping within the shroud of illusion. This is your invaluable contribution to our shared mission, and for those who are ready, without hesitation, to walk this path to the very end, for those who are not afraid to gaze behind the final, thinnest veil, it is in those secluded spaces that we dare to speak of what is normally kept silent. We share the sacred knowledge, the proven techniques, and the very information that will allow you not just to withstand the coming storm, but to learn to command its elements and become its true master. Until we meet again,